Good evening to all. So I think what we discussed last class, I think basics are completed, right? Development basics are completed, right? So all the basics are completed for Apex, what we are going to use in real-time scenarios, okay? And today we are going to start with actual development, okay? So what is actual development in Apex means generally what are the concepts we are using means. So first we are going to discuss with Apex triggers, okay? And then we'll go with the remaining concepts, okay? So one by one. Before going to discuss with Apex triggers, why go for the Apex trigger? Okay, so we need to discuss some automation process. Then we'll discuss about actual what is Apex trigger, why how we are going to write the trigger in Salesforce. See, everyone knows as soon as you create a order in Flipkart, what what action Flipkart application, what are the things we'll received from the Flipkart application? Automatically, as soon as your order is created, we'll receive email from Flipkart application. And also we receive the message also it will receive automatically. And also it will change order status also automatically it will change. Order is confirmed, order is created, otherwise order is still in progress, something status it is updated in Flipkart application. What you people are doing, simply you ordered a product, you are not doing anything. You are sending email manually? No. You are sending message manually? No. As soon as order is created, automatically backend some process automatically it will send some actions, or some actions it will perform automatically in backend, and it will send the details to customer. So whether order is confirmed, what type of order is what type of order is ordered, and also what type of product you ordered, and also what is the price details, everything it will come via email, right? So this is something like a automated process. Example, suppose if you log in with any internet banking application, any banking application, it will ask OTP. Did you people are send OTP? No. As soon as you click on checkbox, something like send OTP, or maybe click on checkbox. Otherwise, some applications are automatically it will send security code to your mobile. Whatever mobile you registered in the platform, you will get a message from that application. So this is the security code you have to enter. So how you will get automatically security code? That is something like a automated process. Automated process means without any manual action, as soon as data is created or as soon as record is created or updated, do you want to perform any actions automatically? Then you can go with the Apex trigger. So this is customization, Apex trigger. So generally automation process, there is a two process we have. Okay. What are the two process means? Let me complete. Automation process in Salesforce is there is a two process. One is declarative automation, and one more is programmatic automation. Automation. What is declarative automation means? That is something like we have a workflow, and also previously we are using process builder, but these two concepts you can ignore, and this one also we can ignore because of these applications already it's retired from Salesforce platform. And one more is there is a record triggered flow. record trigger flow. So this is the flow generally we are using. Why Salesforce is retired these two applications, workflow and process builder processes. They're maintaining one tool for one automation in declaratively. Means whatever we are going to achieve by using workflow and process builder, same actions we can perform by using record trigger flow. So that is the reason these two concepts they're ignored and they retired. And this is the nowadays people are using for declarative automation. What is declarative automation? This is something like no code automation. Just it is a point click automation, point click. Point click means without writing any code, do you want to perform any automation process? If possible, then we can use for declarative automation. If any one of the requirement is not possible, or any requirement is not possible to achieve by using declarative automation, then only we can go with the programmatic automation. What are the programmatic automation is? That is something like Apex triggers. Apex triggers was the one of the programmatic automation. Again, I'm repeating, any requirement comes to you, first you have to understand the requirement, whether it is possible through declarative or not. If it is possible to declarative, you can ignore for programmative automation. Okay. So if that particular requirement is not possible to achieve by using record trigger flow or by using flows, then we can go with the programmatic automation. What is alternate approach in development means? That is something like a Apex trigger. Okay. So why go for the Apex trigger? So if you want to do any automation process, that requirement is not possible to achieve by using declarative automation, then we can go with the Apex trigger. Apex trigger is a custom code. This is the Apex code, and it is using automated business process. By using Apex trigger, we can do for any business process automatically without any manual intervention. Okay, so that is something like a Apex trigger. Hope you understand background of Apex trigger, why go for the Apex trigger. Okay, just compare any development concept before learning what is alternate approach in declaratively, and if the declaratively it is not possible, what is the alternate approach in programmatically. Always you have to compare with the custom configuration with the customization. So if any requirement is possible through configuration, then no need to write any code, because of if you go with the code, the maintenance is very difficult. If you want to change any feature, or if you want to customize the code, or if you want to enhance, so again you have to go with the lower sandbox and you have to do the multiple steps. It is a time taking process. That is the reason in real time most of the people are not recommended to write code unwantedly if it is possible through configuration or declaratively. If it is not possible, then there is no other way. Blindly you can go with the alternate approach for development. Okay, right, these points are very important. Now, what is Apex trigger means? Still, this concept is not discussed. Okay, record trigger flow. So that we'll discuss later. Because of now, you people are knows for basic concepts, right? So then we'll discuss maybe after Apex trigger or after development, right? Apex trigger is nothing but it is a custom code. It is a custom Apex code, and it is a automated business process business process. And also, whenever event will fire, then trigger will execute automatically. Okay, so then when it is trigger is executed automatically, there is a some events. Okay, so some before events and after events, some action it is performed, then automatically it will trigger. What are the events in record level? If you go to Salesforce, if you create any record, so when it is create any record, when click on new button, some event it will fire in backend, right? What is event? That it will open the new form. So that is something like a one event. Whenever user is creating record, do you want to send any email for the details, or do you want to perform any automated action to create a child record, or to update within the data automatically? Then trigger will fire automatically based on event. If it is a new button, this is the insert event, right? You are going to create a new record. So if you go to existing record, if you click on edit button, what event it will fire? It will fire update event. New button is belongs to insert event, because of we are creating new record. Edit, you never click on edit button, it will fire the update event. Either it is a before update or after update, that we'll discuss in detail. So edit is nothing but a update. So when we want to perform delete action, if you click on delete, automatically backend in trigger delete event it will fire. If you write any logic to fire in delete event, when user click on delete, then automatically the trigger will fire the related object logic. Okay, whatever written in trigger. So same like undelete, undelete also. Let's see what are the events are available here. Okay, so in trigger, so there is a two types of triggers we have. Okay, so two types of triggers. One is normal trigger, and one more is bulkified trigger. Bulkified trigger. Okay, so what is normal trigger means? Bulkified trigger. Normal trigger means it is executing single record, but it is not recommendable option. Not recommendable option. Okay, not recommendable. And what is the bulkified trigger? Always write code. Always we can write code in bulk records. Bulk records means more than one record. So this is the best practice. So by default, all triggers are here. I'll mention by default all triggers are bulkified triggers only. Bulkified triggers means you are using collections. Okay, collections always it will work more than one record, right? So always we have to use for bulkified trigger. This is the basically two types of triggers, but based on events, triggers are two types. Triggers are two types. In normal any website, they mentioned there is a two types of triggers. That is something like before triggers, and one more is after triggers. Okay, if it is a based on events, there is a two types of triggers. Normally triggers are two types. One is the normal trigger and bulkified trigger. But if any specifically they're asking how many triggers means, maybe you can tell answer like based on event, triggers are two types. One is the before trigger and one is after trigger. Let's see one by one. What is before triggers? In Salesforce, before commit to the database, do you want to perform any logic or do you want to execute any actions? Then we can go for the before triggers. Tell me, before commit to the database, we want to throw some error message. How to do that in declaratively? Any idea? Before commit to the database, I want to check some data whether user is entered correct or not. How to check in declaratively without writing code? Is there any way? Suppose example, whenever going to create a new account record, I want to check whether user is entered correct website or not. Whether user is entered website format or not. How to check and declaratively? Whether user is entered correct data or not. How to validate? Any idea? Did you understand my question? One more example. Before save the record, either it is a update record or before save the record, if user is not entered annual revenue, I want to show the error message, annual revenue must enter some value. How to do that? Any idea? You guys have forgot everything, huh?
Uh, we declared as the mandatory field, sir.
So suppose mandatory not required in the profile. If you declare the mandatory, it is mandatory for all the users, right? I want to mandatory only specific users. Then
We use permission, sir.
permission set. Okay,
Okay.
can you throw the error message by using permission set? I want to see mandatory means this field is mandatory. I don't want this type of error. I want to customize this error. Annual revenue must enter, something like that. We need to customize the error and display the message here.
We can use the validation rule.
Exactly. Validation rule, right? When validation rule will trigger? Before commit to the database. Yes or no? Before save the
Yes, sir.
data into the database, whether user is entered or not, whether user is entered incorrect format or correct format, it will check based on validation rule, right? So same thing, if it is possible, validation rule by using field level validation rule. Just only we need to check field level validation rule. Suppose one more example. See here, account and contact, right? If you click on delete button, if account is existing any contact details, you need to contact details, then we need to avoid to delete for this account. If you user click on this delete account, this account is existed some contact data, it is not possible to delete. Our system is not allowing to delete. That type of error message we need to display. Then it is possible through validation rule? No, right? Validation rule always it will fire by using save button. Other than save button, do you want to perform any validation rule? Then what is the alternate approach in programmatically? If any validation rule, if any requirement is related to validation rule, that it is not possible to achieve through declaratively or validation rule, then what is the alternate approach is, that is the before triggers. How validation rule it will execute, same like in triggers also. Before triggers it will execute before commit to the database. Do you want to perform any logic before commit to the database, then you have to use for before triggers. Hope you clear why go for the before triggers. Clear? What is the alternate approach for validation rule to programmatically means, that is something like a before trigger. Please remember this one. Okay, right? Before trigger it will fire, can't understand the concept, guys, so code will practice later. To the database, it will fire before commit to the database. And also generally validation purpose, validation purpose we are using before triggers. Before triggers. Okay, so before triggers are generally three types. One is before events, that is before insert and before update and before delete. Okay, so these are the three events we have. So before creating new record, do you want to update anything or do you want to check whether user is entered correct data or not, then we can use for before insert. And before update means before saving to the data into the database, do you want to perform any logic, then we can use, do you want to update any data, then we can use for before update. Before delete means that just now we explained, right? If you want to delete account record, if account records are not existed any contact details, then user is going to delete the data. If user before deleting the data, we need to check whether account is existed contacts or not. That is also one type of validation rule, right? So that we can achieve by using before delete. Okay, there is no before undelete. Why? Because undelete means already data is deleted from database. Whatever data, active data, it is available in system, then only we can validate the data. So that is the reason before events, only three types of events. One is before insert, before update, before delete. Okay, and also now we go with the after trigger. What is after trigger? Okay, let's see. After trigger means example for same whatever we discussed initially in Flipkart, that everything is after trigger only. So before creating order, did you receive any email? This is the order you are going to create? No. After order is created successfully, then only we can receive the email. Then only we can receive the message from the Flipkart application for your order details. So when that order details are sent to the customer, once the data is created successfully into the database, then only that order ID is generated. That order ID, it will send to the customer. This is the reference order ID from your order. Okay. So those kind of actions we can perform by using after triggers. Can you please mute? Some noise is coming. Thank you. Okay, when go for the after trigger, after data is saved into the database successfully, do you want to perform any actions after data is saved into the database? Then we can use for after triggers. Okay, before triggers it will execute before commit to the database. After triggers it will execute after commit to the database. Okay, these 2 points we have to remember. Okay, when it will fire? It will fire after commit to the database. Okay, and here example when parent record parent record is updated, then we'll create related child record related child record based on parent information. Okay, based on parent information. Right. What are the events are available? After trigger events, after insert, after update, after delete, and then after undelete. Okay. So there is a 4 events we have: after insert, after update, after delete, after undelete. Why we are using after undelete means, so already data is deleted from the database. If it is available in recycle bin, that is a deleted data or archive data, then we can get it from by using after triggers, not for before triggers. Okay, so recycle bin data, it is not a active data, right? So it's not possible to perform any action before commit to the database. The recycle bin data always we can consider after commit to the database. So that is by using after triggers we can restore the data if it is required. Okay, so this is some background of a trigger. So what is trigger? First of all, understand why go for the trigger. Again, I'm repeating, in declaratively we have a one automation process, that is something like a record trigger flow. Okay, so if any requirement is not possible by using record trigger flow, what is alternate approach is, that is something like a apex trigger. Generally apex trigger is a custom code. It is automated business process. When record is created, updated, or deleted or undeleted, do you want to perform any logic automatically, then use for apex triggers. Okay, apex triggers are 2 types based on event. One is before trigger and after trigger. When go for the before trigger, when go for the after trigger, I mentioned here. Okay, any questions up to now? Clear? Some noise is coming. Any questions? I think someone is
No, sir.
unmuted. No, okay. Thank you. Now the syntax. Syntax is very important. Trigger name, on s object, API name, and here we can use events. Okay, events. So this is the syntax here. Inside the trigger, we can use logic here. Okay, this is the trigger syntax. Trigger on is the keywords. Its keywords are already we discussed, right? Keywords never change. The position of the keyword, that execution of the keyword never change. Okay, trigger name we can give any name, and also here we can use on keyword, s object, which object you are going to perform automated logic, that you can use here, and also event. So here you can understand which object we are going to, how to decide which object we are going to write the trigger. Simply you can imagine, sorry, you can remember, wherever user is performing action, that object you have to choose as a logic inside the trigger. You have to write the logic inside the trigger. See, suppose, do you want to create child record automatically whenever user is updated account data? Where user is updating the data, account object. Then you have to write the trigger in account object. Okay. As soon as you created an order in Flipkart or Amazon, you can get an email from the Flipkart where you are creating order object. Then you have to write a trigger on order object. Why? Because wherever end user performing action, that object you have to write a logic in trigger. You have to use the trigger in that particular object. Okay, so this point you have to remember. Now here example, trigger syntax example, trigger, trigger, insert account. We can give any name on account object. We can use here before insert. We can use more than one event as well. After insert, after insert, or we can use before update, before update, after update, and before delete, before delete, and after delete, after delete. This is the comma separated. You have to mention more than one event after and delete. Okay, here you can write the logic whatever it is required. Okay, inside you can logic the, you can create insert account. Okay, so this is the trigger syntax. Trigger name, you can give any name based on the requirement. Sometimes in real time people are following some naming conventions. Before writing the trigger, you have to check existing trigger, what are the naming conventions they're following other objects. And also here as subject API name, always you have to use API name, either field or label or anything, whatever component you are referring into the programming, always you have to use API name of the component. And events, we can use more than one event, or we can use specific event as well, that also it is possible. But as for Salesforce best practices, one trigger per one object. You have to use always one trigger per one object to avoid the recursive operations. So that we'll discuss later, what are the best practices, how to follow. Okay, let's see one example. Before going to discuss what are the navigation here. What is the navigation part? Navigation is, if it is a developer console, then what is that? File, then new button, apex triggers, and give the name of the give the name of the trigger, and choose the object and create, and click on create or next button. Okay, this is the developer console. What is the classic? In classic is, go to object properties, and go to apex trigger section, and click on new button. Okay, this is. And also if lightning also same, go to object manager, open the object, and click on apex trigger, and click on new button. Okay, I will show you the navigation. First, go to developer console. So here we can go to file, click on new button, apex trigger, and here name you can give any name of the trigger, and you have to choose which object you are going to write the trigger. Okay. When click on new button, automatically the trigger syntax it will create here, and remaining logic you can write. Right, this is the navigation. And if you go to classic, if you go to setup, so if you go to object properties, either it is a standard object, how to go? So go to the customize, open the account. Here we have a trigger. If you click on trigger here, see here we have it, click on new button, automatically the trigger syntax here it will perform. You can change the name and the event, which event do you want to use, and what is the trigger name, and you have to write the logic inside the standard platform. And what is the custom object? Go to the custom object here, any Zomato order example. Go to view details here, view fields. This is the custom object. If you go to here, go to the trigger section. We have a trigger section here. Click on new button, and here you can write the logic. Okay, better we can use always in developer console for any development, so it is easy and developer friendly, so we can use for developer console. Then how to open the trigger? How to open the trigger? If you write the trigger, automatically the triggers are available in this section. If you open existing trigger, you can open the existing trigger. And what about developer console? How to open the trigger? So if you go to file, there is a open here we have. Okay, just click on open. Here we have a trigger section. Just select the trigger. List of triggers are displayed here. Select and click on open. It will open the trigger. Okay, so that is. Otherwise, you can search here by trigger name. If you have handy in trigger name, then you can search by here. Click on search. It will show the list of triggers here, the particular name, and you can select and open. It will open. Let's see how to open the trigger in developer console. That we'll see later. Right. So hope you clear navigation part. Right. So let's discuss one example today. So that first we are going to discuss insert triggers. Insert triggers. Okay. Above one is theoretical part. So now we are going to discuss some example. Right. Example is, requirement is, whenever account is inserted, then update the rating as cold. Okay. Whenever user insert account record, maybe like this. Whenever user insert account record, then like this, then update account rating as cold automatically. Suppose user is entered already cold, then no need to update, right? So whenever user is inserted account record, if user is selecting other than cold record, then automatically system will update the rating as a cold. While inserting the data, user is entered warm, then whenever save the data, system will check and will update the data as a cold. Okay, so what type of event do you want to perform in this logic or in this requirement, and which object you are going to write the code, that you have to check before writing the code. Okay, so now here, now tell me, so which object you are going to write the trigger? Where user is performing action? Account record. Then you have to check account record. And what is the event we are going to use? What is the event we are going to use? What user is performing? User is performing insert new account. Which event user is performing first? User is creating new record. New record means that is something like a before insert operation. Before insert. Okay, before inserting the record, system is going to update rating as a hot, and after save the data database, it will show for the cold value. Okay, so that is. Now what is the DML performance? Here DML is required? No, no need to perform any DML required. Event it will take care automatically. Okay, when again this point also you have to remember. Whenever you write the trigger, that is the trigger is a before trigger, that too within the object do you want to update anything, then no need to apply any DML operation. Event it will take care automatically. Okay, again I'm repeating, if you write any before trigger within the object, or do you want to perform any automated logic within the object, then no need to apply any DML operation. Automatically event it will take care. Okay, event it will take care. If you write the logic here, I'll mention, if you write the logic to update within the object, or to within the object, then no need to use DML statement. DML statement. So event it will take care. It will take care the update operation. Okay. So this is not required. Just no need to use DML statement. If it is a before triggers. Okay, this one. And also if you want SOQL query is required, no, not required. SOQL query also not required. Why? Because we are not inserting any record. We are not inserting any record. Database still data is not available. During insert operation only we are updating the data. Means before save the data to commit to the database, we are updating rating as a cold. Let's see. Let's see this example how to write the trigger. Go to developer console, just go to file, click on new Apex trigger, give the trigger name. What is the trigger name here? Insert example. Example, I'm going to mention like this, trigger 1. Okay, trigger 1. Otherwise, just simply we can use insert account example. Okay, just select which object you are going to write the trigger, account. Just click on submit. By default it is showing as an event as before insert in developer console. Do you want to change after insert or before update or after update, then you can change, no issue. Okay, so this is the trigger syntax. Trigger, trigger name, on, and s object API name and event, right? Here we want to check first. Whenever user is entered the data, understand clearly. When click on new button, automatically this event it will capture that user is inserting new data. Okay. Once user is inserting new data, suppose your user is selecting some data. Okay. Where this data is saved? This data is saved somewhere before save the database, right? Before save the database, the data is saved somewhere. The data is saved somewhere in database. Okay. That how to read this data? How to read this data means we have a concept called trigger.new. What is trigger.new means? List of account account accounts equal to, there is a concept called trigger.new. What is trigger.new means? I will explain later also this context variable. Trigger.new is one of the context variable in Salesforce, trigger context variable. By using this context variable, we can read the new version of the data. If user is going to update any data, whatever user is entered, that it will capture by the system. Okay, how the system is captured? By using trigger.new. Let's see whether it is correct or not. System.debug, system.debug. Just you can mention accounts. Okay, save now. Save. Let's see, we can capture this one. We can capture this one. open the logs. So as of now, we can delete the logs here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on save button. I'm going to click on save button. What will happen? Let's see. See, account is created, right? If you go to developer console, see the log is created automatically. This is no need to execute manually. This is the automated process. As soon as user is created new account, let's see whether data it will come or not. Go to debug only. See here, ID is null. ID is null means, so this is captured before save the data. Before save the data. If it is a before insert, ID is null. If it is a after insert, it will come ID. Okay. Now see, whatever user is entered name value and whatever user is entered the value, everything it is captured here. Okay. So the name value, what is the name here? This is the name. Copy this name and we can search here. See, this is the name of the account. Okay. How it is captured automatically? By using this context variable. Okay. Hope you clear what is this context variable. By using trigger.new, system will capture automatically whatever data user is entered. Okay. Why we are capturing the data? Based on this data, we are updating the record. Why? Because we need to know, right, which record user is updating or which record user is creating. That how we are going to get means that by using trigger.new. Like this, we have multiple context variables that we'll discuss later. As of now, you can understand what is trigger.new. Okay. So here I'm going to mention comments also. Comments also very important. Okay. Fetch new version of the data using trigger.new and storing into accounts variable, accounts list variable. Okay, this one. So now we can remove this one. Now why I'm using list? User is creating only one record, right? Why I'm using list? Why? Because always you have to write the code in bulky file, bulk records. See, suppose Mustafa also creating some record, I am also creating some records. Okay, both are end users. Okay, at a time we are going to create multiple records. Sometimes by using data loader we are going to create 200 records. So if you are not using list, always one record it will execute. Maybe sometimes it will hit the governor limit. Okay, so if you use collections, it will run more than one record at a time. So without any issues, it will create a data or it will update the data. So that is that always we have to use bulky file, because we have some governor limits in the governor limits. So we can avoid that governor limits. Always we have to write the code in bulky file. Okay. See now, once maybe some users are creating more than one record, how we are going to check one by one record? We have to use for loop. Okay, we have to use the for loop. Why using for loop here? Check one by one record. Check one by one record and update rating as cold. Okay, rating as cold using above list. Let's see how to use. This is the for loop. Use for each loop account acc. You can use any variable name, then pass the data to here. And here, what is the data we need to update? Acc dot rating equal to cold. Okay, do you want to check whether this record is updated as a trigger? Maybe I'm going to use some description also. Acc dot description equal to rating is updated using trigger. Okay, trigger. That's it. This is the updation. Just save now. So here, comma, you have to use the comma, sorry, semicolon, just save. That's it. This is the requirement for this trigger. First I'm going to save this otherwise before save the record, first we need to check. Okay, let's apply system.debug system.debug account rating is. Okay, rating is, that is something like acc dot rating. This is how we can check the debug statement. This is account rating user entered. Okay, again after updating this data, let me check here. Control A, shift to tab, automatically the code alignment it will do. So account rating system updated. Just save. Go to debug statement. Remove this logic. So sorry, remove this debug statement. Clear. Now go to account. Delete this account record. Automatically maybe log is not created. Click on new button. Once click on new button, the system will capture the before insert event. Based on this event, system will capture, yes, one of the record is going to insert into the Salesforce, and the user is entered new record. before insert record, and user is selecting warm. Let's see, user is selecting warm. Okay, I'm not updating any description and all. Just click on save now. Once click on save, see, even though user is updated warm, system is automatically it is updated cold. And also you can check this description, rating is updated using trigger. If you check the logic now, if you check the debug statement, go to the debug statement, click on debug only. See now, what is the line number 7? What user is entered rating value? Warm. Warm. And what is the system.debug rating? System is updated as a cold. See now, who is updated this data? System. And who is updated this data? User. Okay, even though user is entered incorrect data or user is entered some other data what it is expecting, then trigger it will take care to update actual data based on the requirement. This is something like an automated process. I'm not updating anything here. I'm not updating description. I'm not updating code. Just simply I have created account record using name, mandatory information, and click on save. Automatically based on trigger, whatever you require to update, you can update. Okay. So this is the trigger logic. This is how you have to write the trigger in Salesforce. Any questions here? Any questions? Clear?
Yes.
Any difficulties? Understand the code. Okay, one line by line. How to understand the code line by line means simply we can put the debug statement. We can put the debug statement, what this value is written and what is we are updating, how before updating which value it is coming from user, sorry, ACC record. And also if you want you can check one more thing also. System.debug, this is the before, right? Before account ID before insert one. Just simply we can put like this. Just understanding purpose. ACC.id. Okay. Now again same thing. We can check here as well. Either we can put inside here also. Okay. Anything fine because of both are updating right here. So here we are not using any update statement here too. Just save now. So this is fire only for insert operation, guys. If you suppose you are updating existing record data, it will not fire. Click on save now. See, hot only. Why? Because this is only event we are using insert operation, not for update operation. Now we are going to delete this record. Now remove this debug log, existing debug log, so that you people are not confusing. Now create a new record. Axis Bank record. Okay, I'm going to update account hot. I'm not going to change anything. If you want to make it active, you can make it active. Just click on save now. Once it is saved, see rating is updated as a cold and description is updated by using trigger. Now open this debug statement. See what is the ID value here? Null. ID value null means this ID is not captured. Why? Because before save the data into database, before save this value rating as a cold, this rating as a cold, when it is appended this value, before commit to the database. Before commit to the database only system is updated rating as a cold. See this is ID is null here. ID is not coming from the system. Why? Because before trigger ID is before insert ID is not available. Why before insert id is not available means before save the data whatever logic you written inside the trigger that it will fire before id is created, before save the data into database. This is how you can check what is the properties of trigger.new and what is the properties of before insert. Okay, line by line you have to check. Okay, right. And also here while writing any code in Salesforce in real time also you have to maintain some comments as well. Why? Because in any newcomer come to your project or something, they will understand easily why you written the logic. Okay, that is the best practice. The best practices and all we'll discuss later. Okay, so this is the logic for this requirement. Okay, hope you clear what is insert operation. Hmm? Hmm, I will give an assignment. Whenever user is insert, otherwise what is that? Okay, whenever user is insert lead record, lead record, lead record, update description as new lead is created from the system. Sorry, created. This is created. Just simply description. Otherwise, I'm going to mention update below fields automatically. Automatically. Okay, what is that? So lead description is new lead is created. New lead is created and rating equal to 1. And also if you want anything is there, then lead record, go to here, go to lead, select the sales application, open the lead, click on new button. Yeah, so when lead is created, update the description is new lead is created and the rating equal to, here also we have a rating equal to. Okay, and also you can apply country equal to India, and maybe if you want one more field, okay, industry is banking. Always you have to put industry is banking. Okay, so these are the values you can update as soon as lead is created. Same logic, just you can change the name of the trigger whatever you want. Okay, and also object is lead, that is the before insert operation. Why? Because user is inserting the record. See, this is the action you have to find out. Okay, what user is performing. If user is performing update the record, then this event will change as a update operation. If it is a insert, then it will change the insert operation. Do you want to perform both insert and update? Then we can use before insert comma before update. Okay, now lead record is create, insert the lead record, then update below fields automatically. Okay, so this is the information. Can you do this? Huh? Right, so we'll see some more examples tomorrow before insert, and then we'll go for the after insert. Clear assignment? Can you do this? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Right. Practice way itself, or maybe tomorrow before the class, so that you can understand. Okay, if while practicing, if you have any doubts, let me know. And also last few days you people are practicing, right? Anyone have any questions, please make the document so that we'll discuss this week at least one session for doubts. Okay, right.